All right, so in systems thinking, if you put garbage into a system, you will receive garbage from the system, right? Everything works on an input-output basis. Cold email, cold messaging, these things are systems. They're basically processes that we run to generate appointments, right? The input is prospects, right? Leads, businesses, information from the business. And the output is basically going to be an appointment, at least you want. And you want the process in the middle to basically sort of, manipulate those leads and do things to them that basically in turn like produce meetings, right? That's the goal. Problem is if you have shitty inputs, you're going to have shitty outputs. It doesn't matter how good your appointment booking processes are. It doesn't matter how good your copy is. It doesn't matter how good you are at actually trying to book appointments using cold email. It doesn't matter how persistent you are with your follow-ups. If you have everything perfect, but the input is bad, the output will still be bad, because 0 times 100 is still 0, if that makes sense. So who am I? My name's Charlie Morgan. I've built and scaled 2 companies using outbound and inbound cold messaging and cold email and inbound systems, basically. NorthFlow Consulting, our agency, we scaled it to 7 figures. We've now sold it. And Imperium Agency, it's a coaching business. We scaled it to basically multi-7 figures using purely organic systems with no ads. So I've learned a thing or two about client acquisition. The goal of this YouTube channel is to make client acquisition easy, and I want client acquisition to be easy for you. There's no 997 course here. We only work with established agency owners, coaches and consultants already making 10 grand a month or more. If that's you, you can click the first link in the description. If that's not you, just keep watching the videos until you get there. So basically, there's a mistake. If you're making this mistake and the input's bad, you're going to completely fuck everything up. If you're using lead generation software like Store Leads for e-commerce or D7 Lead Finder for lead gen, you're fucked, right? What I mean by this, I don't mean you're fucked like literally, but like you're going to be in some trouble. If you're using Lead Carrot or leadscraper.io or D7 Lead Finder or Store Leads or My Leads or something like that, if you're using a lead scraping software, your chances of getting appointments are significantly reduced. The reason behind that is because everyone uses those softwares. The best thing to do, the best way to book appointments and make client acquisition easy is to basically do the opposite of everybody else. So if you think about it, right, everyone and their mum who's ever started an agency has used D7 Lead Finder to generate leads. Everyone in e-commerce to generate leads has used Store Leads, right? So why the fuck would you use what everybody else has used? It's kind of like, if everyone's gone through and like, dude, like if you go into D7 Lead Finder, you say starting a gym agency. If you go into D7 Lead Finder and then you go through and you scrape like all of the lists from all the major cities, like I'm not even joking, like thousands, if not tens of thousands of people trying to sell the same thing you are have already done that and reached out to those people. So those leads, you can basically write them off. They've been burned. And like the best way, it's like kind of like critical thinking. It's also Sun Tzu's The Art of War, right? If you can't beat an enemy on their own territory, then go to another territory. It's like rule 9 or something like that from the book. Like critical thinking, guys. Come on, use your brains. If you want to start something that lots of other people have started and failed at, why would you do the same thing they've already done, right? So what's the solution to this? What's the antidote? Well, it's just work, right? It's coming up with your own unique way of finding leads that nobody else can contact. They do this a lot in political campaigns, right? So here's an example in Brexit, right? So with Brexit in the UK, with leaving the, I don't agree or disagree with Brexit. This is not a political discussion. Is to emphasize the point. So with Brexit, right? There was the Leave Party and the In Party. So there was a party that wanted people to vote Leave, party that wanted people to stay in the EU, and like so Brexit is like England or the UK leaving the European Union, right? We ended up leaving. The Leave Party and the In Party, they had their own database of voters, right? People that they knew were going to vote for them and people they could reach. But the Leave Party got this advantage of finding 3 million voters that the In Party could not contact or reach and didn't even know existed. And they did that using Aggregate IQ, which is a software that, like a software company or dodgy data company that basically like sources people's data from social media. It's a really interesting story. But basically, Dominic Cummings, the guy who led the Leave Party, was really intelligent. I don't necessarily agree with the moral premise of like his arguments, but he was intelligent. Even if you don't just agree with someone, doesn't mean they're not smart, right? And what he did is he basically found 3 million voters and like he sourced his own leads, right? So instead of just using the typical political databases that all parties use to reach out to people and try and get them to vote for them, this guy went off and he was like, fuck that, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use it because other people still use it to a degree. But he was like, my advantage will come from finding voters and people that have never voted before and that the other party doesn't even know exists. And he did that, and that's how he won, because the Brexit vote was really close. It was like, there wasn't much in it. And if he didn't have that advantage, he wouldn't have won, basically. So my point here is like, when you start something or when you're doing outreach, don't use the same leads everybody else has used. Just use your brain to actually just take a second to consider what that even looks like. It's like if you're doing like something, and then everybody else has tried to do the same thing before you to the same leads. Like, why would you do the same thing, right? So just use your brain, critical thinking, stop doing the monkey see, monkey do thing, and source your own leads, right? Find your own unique little methodology. Maybe go to a different country that like D7 doesn't even like operate out of. Like, you know, try different countries, try different like places to find people. Like, there's nothing wrong with going on Google. Like, if you're in the gym niche, like if I was starting a gym agency, I would just Google gyms. And I would use different sources and different places, because D7 might give you like, you know, 50,000 gyms, but I guarantee you there's like double that elsewhere that you can find that nobody else has contacted. And because they haven't been bombarded by thousands of people in the past, they're more likely to respond. So that's just a quick lesson for you. I've learned it the hard way, and now that I've learned it, things are a lot easier. Like, when this is ironic, when we used to do Loom, like when I used to do Loom manually for my business, I used to get like a 40% Loom view rate. So 40% of people would watch the Loom, and like 10% of people would book a call. As soon as we started using a lead sourcer through Fiverr, someone who obviously has big lists of leads that they sent it to us, our Loom view rate cut in half and our response rate went down to like 1%. And I learned from that point onwards, I was like, okay, that's cause and effect. Shit input equals shit output. Put the extra effort into finding good leads, and you'll find that there's a huge exponential increase in the amount of appointments you can book. But that's just another way to make client acquisition easy. I hope you found the video useful. If you are established, making 6 figures or more with an agency or coaching business, click the first link in the description. You might want to be part of a little project we're working on. But if not, it's all good. It's all groovy. All right, talk to you later. Have a good day.